and participate in a comprehensive discussion concerning it. The thorough report from the Commissioner. Utilize the video recordings from Lugansk and display the visuals he presents during his live transmission. Clarify what exactly is transpiring. Please, could you tell me and show me precisely what is occurring? In the middle of the day, under the bright daylight. What exactly is this? Is it Kryvyi Rih? Krivoy Rog, in broad daylight. An unknown person in masks is packing someone. What is this? What is happening? We don't know what's happening. Do we need to respond? I'm not very interested in a response. What is this? Across the entire country, individuals are being abducted. What if it is kidnapping for organ trafficking and they will be killed and their organs sold afterward? What if it is bandits? Everyone seems to be saying, well, we simply do not know. Potato cities. What exactly is this? What exactly is this? And here I am inquiring. What exactly is this? What precisely is this situation? This is undeniably an abduction. Is this regarded as normal? No, it is absolutely not normal. Are you attempting to convey, Lugansky, that we possess roads of this nature in our nation, complete with such potholes and puddles? Indeed, by observing this video, one can deduce insights not only about the current societal happenings, but also about the state of the economy and its ongoing developments. European roads. What sort of Europe is this? Have you ever witnessed anything similar in Europe? In Canada, in the United States, these are the types of roads you encounter, and everything is interconnected. What exactly is occurring in the video? Luhansk mentioned something about potatoes. What is the price of these potatoes? Let's inquire with this individual. What is the cost of the potato? A stray dog just ran past. When was the most recent occasion you observed a stray dog in Canada, in the United States, or in Europe? Just a stray dog ran past. That is all. What is happening in the video? What is this? Introduce this subject, engage in a discussion about it. However, no, not this particular one. I do not endorse this. Instead, let's converse about potatoes. Honestly, why is this potato even significant, you know? This is not of any significance whatsoever. Do you have an appreciation for the Christmas tree? Are you fond of potatoes? This is a human being, not a potato. It is not appropriate to handle a person as if they were a mere sack of potatoes. You must not strike them. How many individuals were there against just one person? Was it 5? This resembles the act of unloading a sack of potatoes carelessly dumped into the mud. Is this considered a detention? No, it is not. Is this regarded as an arrest? No. What precisely is this particular situation? Why did they spray him directly in the face with the canister? For what specific reason? For what particular purpose? Little potato, you could potentially be next, and then you will find yourself exclaiming that a terrible mistake has taken place and that you have a reservation. Eventually, it will come to light that the primary search department has disowned their scout, Bohdan Butkevich. And he released a photograph of his military identification, which, as it turned out, he did not actually possess. He lacked any form of military identification. Do you understand? Yes, I misled you. Fabricated stories, conveyed a falsehood. Is this an inaccurate erythrocyte? Who was that? Why spray him with the canister? Why? To what end? Isn't that potatoes they are loading over there? No, not you. That's quite peculiar. You will be the next one. The person is packing to find where he hides the potatoes. At the very least, the asphalt within this particular region is relatively satisfactory, although the puddle situated behind the bushes indicates that it is not completely paved in that specific location. Individuals are gathering in a collective solidarity to stand firmly against the TCC members, and they are persistently endeavoring to remove them from the nearby villages. This specific situation brings to mind vivid recollections of the major events that occurred in the year 2014. This specific situation is inevitably destined to eventually culminate in a catastrophic manner. The absence of connection and communication between the rear and the front lines, which the TCC members have already severed today, not just tearing apart, not will tear, not will destroy, but have indeed already destroyed in reality, is exactly what I have been vocally expressing concern about for the past 3 years. I was not vociferously exclaiming about potatoes, you comprehend, the small-sized potato. I was emphatically articulating about the essential point, you comprehend, that there ought to indeed be assistance and support between the military forces and the home front. Nonetheless, what the TCC individuals executed was they completely severed this assistance and support, inciting hostility towards their own military. In complete disarray, you comprehend? Entirely fragmented. And it was rather effortlessly foreseeable, those sorts of videos. You understand? Romanian rescuers initiated an operation to discover Ukrainians over a period of approximately 2 to 3 days. The preliminary search began subsequent to a call from a woman who mentioned that one of the individuals was engaged in the orchestration of further search endeavors, and so on. Romanian authorities are diligently conducting comprehensive searches for individuals attempting to cross the border. Substantial groups of people are fleeing Ukraine in considerable numbers, and this is a widespread occurrence. They are fleeing because they are being detained, prohibited from leaving Ukraine, and they are hastening towards liberation. This situation serves as an evaluation for the state, you understand. An evaluation because individuals are not merely cells. A cell within the human body, the analogy is quite close, quite similar. The organism represents a highly intricate mechanism, and society functions as a similarly intricate mechanism, closely related. However, a human being is distinctly a human, not merely a cell. A cell is incapable of surviving outside the organism. It lacks the ability to do so, and ultimately perishes. Even components of cells are unable to endure without the organism's essential support, such as oxygen and nutrients. If, heaven forbid, a segment of flesh inadvertently becomes detached from your finger, resulting in an injury, it is entirely lifeless and will inevitably perish without the organism's support. However, a human being is not merely a single cell. They can quite independently sustain themselves without the support of the state. In Romania, Australia, and Canada, a person might not necessarily require Ukraine, yet Ukraine is indeed in need of individuals. Consequently, the fundamental point here is that the state is established for the benefit of its people, not that individuals are born for the benefit of the state. And when individuals in the present day are escaping in large numbers to seek freedom from Ukraine, why do you refer to it as freedom? Because they are held in confinement. Because they are held in confinement, it implies they are escaping to freedom. Logical, indeed logical. Why do you articulate, manipulate, and assert that this constitutes serfdom devoid of rights? Because individuals are constrained and unable to depart from the confines of the fortress, the territory to which they are tethered, where they are obligated to dwell, without the authorities' explicit permission. The fundamental essence of serfdom resides within this concept. Nevertheless, serfdom is essentially a comprehensive collection of regulations and laws that prevent serfs, who are fundamentally individuals in bondage, from departing the region or land to which they are bound without obtaining the authorities' explicit consent. In our particular situation, we experience a serf-like state of lawlessness because serfdom is not formally established by law. There are no specific regulations or legal prohibitions against leaving the nation, nor is there any penalty for departing Ukraine in pursuit of freedom today. This is the crucial aspect. This is the core, not the price of potatoes at 300 hryvnias, although that is naturally also a component of public life. This is of significant importance, and this is exactly what necessitates a comprehensive discussion. When individuals engage in dialogue about it, when bloggers deliberate on it, the circumstances undergo a transformation. When these individuals make their appearance, when people... Who precisely are these individuals? The individual who is apprehending another person, taking them into custody, where exactly is he transporting them? Perhaps to some sort of underground facility? Who might this be? Kindly identify the sponsor. Thank you very much. Who is this individual? Who are these people? Who is this? What is this guy with a patriotic bag which probably has a gun in it, by the way? You understand, right? There is often a weapon and a firearm concealed within those bags. Who could this individual be? Is this an official representative of the government authorities? Could this particular individual potentially be an official representative of the law enforcement authorities? Who might this person truly be? Who exactly is this individual in reality? Is it conceivable that this could indeed be a police officer? No, this particular individual is actually an auntie. This is a person who kidnaps other individuals on the street for financial gain. He is not attired in a uniform, nor is he affiliated with the military forces. He collaborates in conjunction with the police authorities, which is an essential component of the law enforcement system that upholds and safeguards the law, recognized as the law enforcement system. Ken is a prominent social sponsor. The law enforcement system is the issue. You see, it is not suitable for a blogger to harbor nonsense in their mind. They should have the Constitution, human rights, and laws at the forefront of their thoughts. Law enforcement agencies are analogous to white blood cells that should combat crime and offer protection against external invasion, should such an invasion occur. and they forcefully detain individuals on the streets in collaboration with the so-called aunties who are indeed perpetrators of unlawful activities. This constitutes a transgression by the law enforcement authorities. Essentially, this is comparable to an autoimmune disorder where these leukocytes mistakenly target and attack other cells. Do you comprehend the core of my message or not? Why does this brute, who takes control of the vehicle, fail to carry out his primary responsibility, akin to that very leukocyte, which ought to safeguard the other cells from external threats? He is hesitant to comply. In this situation, they request, "Kindly join us, as your cooperation is essential." He responds, "No, I would prefer to apprehend others rather than involve myself." Who might you be? Who exactly is he? Who precisely is he? He rubbed his hands in this particular manner and subsequently departed in an official government-issued vehicle with police-issued license plates. That is exactly the issue. Do you comprehend? Individuals who become disillusioned with the effectiveness of this governmental structure as a living organism opt to move elsewhere because they do not necessitate this country in its existing form, the state as it presently exists. They are not merely cells of the organism, they have the capability to exist without the state. However, the state is unable to sustain itself without them. Do you understand, sweetie? These video presentations are exceptionally overwhelming. Why are you not addressing this particular issue? I do not endorse it either. Merely not endorsing it is insufficient. You must adopt a firm and unwavering stance against this. Oppose it with determination. What frustrates you regarding Lugansky's statements, and regrettably there are numerous individuals similar to you in today's world, is referred to as, take note of it, vexing correctness. Lugansk is indeed accurate, and it is rather bothersome. I completely understand your viewpoint, and unfortunately it is quite irritating to me as well. Is this regarded as typical? No, it is definitely not typical. These are indicative symptoms of an autoimmune disorder. Leukocytes that aggressively attack neurons, cartilage, and red blood cells. I am not a biologist myself, but it is not an excessively challenging task to ascertain this. Why are you persistently compelling him into that confined space? By his head. Why are you forcefully thrusting him in such a manner? Please provide an explanation. Are you associated with the law enforcement agency or something similar to that? Are you associated with the law enforcement agency or something similar to that? Why are you not positioned on the front line? Why is that? In accordance with the law concerning police. Why is it so? I'll go and have some potatoes. It's Lugansk's fault once again. It is not me, it is the blogger with the young potatoes. Fresh young potatoes. Blogger, fresh young potatoes. Why are you not positioned at the front line? What exactly do you desire, Lugansky, in accordance with the legislation concerning police? What is it that you want, the legislation on police? You open it up, read through it comprehensively, and everything is clearly articulated within. He lacks adequate training. He lacks adequate training. In that case, it's clear, so what's the point? Then there are no more questions. It is quite clear here, and all the news, as you are aware, revolves around Shabunin. Instead of engaging in discussions about significant matters, let's focus on discussing Shabunin. I'm fed up with everyone. You open it, and everywhere it's Shabunin Butkovich. Butkovich posted a photo of a military ID. The date on the military ID is 09.0725. So you never possessed a military identification card? How did you manage to visit the recruitment center on 10 separate occasions without having a military identification card? What kinds of stories are you sharing? I've never had one at all. I have never been formally issued an official military identification card. I only received a draft notice, which was merely an A4 size sheet with a photograph, created sometime during the 1990s. It was all reserved, served in the reserves, but I do not possess a military identification card. It's clear. I just opened the news, and there's Butkovich, there's this Shabunin, and all the news is about Butkovich and Shabunin, Butkovich and Shabunin, Butkovich and Shabunin. It genuinely feels as though there are virtually no other news stories whatsoever, and it appears that nobody seems interested in discussing what truly matters. Here is the location where I captured a screenshot before the stream. There it is.
Certainly.
Statement from the CensorNet editorial team about the pressure on Vitaly Shabunin, head of the Center for Counteraction and Anti-Corruption. Statement from Shabunin. Statement from Firsov about Shabunin, supposedly the most important. And where is the official statement regarding the European Union Commissioner's comprehensive report on the inhumane torture of individuals? We will not support that either. Yes, it is not the most critical issue in the entire country. Let's discuss who will be our minister. What difference does it make? Let's engage in a comprehensive discussion regarding the government's program. Has it undergone any significant changes? It is inevitably bound to change. You are requesting far too much, Lugansky. If they replace the minister himself, then the program is likely to undergo changes as well. It is quite probable that it will change if the prime minister is replaced, if the deputy prime minister ascends to the position of the prime minister in the subsequent government, and the prime minister from the previous administration assumes the role of the minister of defense, then it's merely akin to rearranging a bed. They relocated it, and presently the bed is not the initial one on the left, but rather the fourth. And from the exit, it is now the second, whereas previously it was the eighth. However, the fundamental nature of the brothel remains unchanged due to this. Individuals visit or refrain from visiting not because of the arrangement of the beds. Do you comprehend the core essence? Altering ministers without modifying the fundamental nature of the program. What purpose do these ministers serve? It does not alter anything whatsoever. The Deputy Prime Minister from yesterday is poised to assume the role of the new Prime Minister. Apart from changes in financial flows, corrupt components, and the complex schemes that the government orchestrates, fundamentally, nothing experiences any substantial transformation. All the prominent and influential opinion leaders are fully prepared to engage in extensive discussions regarding the mobilization of both Butkovich and Shabunin. While I am not asserting that I entirely concur with Shabunin, it is important to recognize that Shabunin represents a classic and intricate issue. Inform Comrade Stalin that a grave and monstrous mistake has transpired, as Shabunin, after enduring exhaustive 15-hour searches, declared that Zelensky is advancing towards corrupt authoritarianism. And before enduring the exhaustive and lengthy 15-hour searches, he did not make such a statement. As a result, his perspective was significantly altered as a direct consequence of these searches. For an exhaustive duration of 15 hours, he was subjected to extensive searches for which those conducting the searches did not possess a legitimate court warrant. This is evidently a clear manifestation of lawlessness. Zelensky is progressing towards corrupt authoritarianism. The fact that individuals are tortured in underground basements, that people are abducted on the streets, and that this is a widespread phenomenon is even acknowledged by the Human Rights Commissioner. It is a systematic and widespread violation of fundamental human rights where people are held captive without the necessary rights and legal grounds, and those who wish to leave the country are unable to do so due to closed borders, even though they should have the constitutional right to do so. This situation does not solely concern authoritarianism, it relates to corrupt authoritarianism. Do you comprehend, Luhansky? Corruption carries profound significance. What difference does corruption make to an individual who was just sprayed with a canister and brutally beaten with feet on video, or to someone who was tragically killed in the military enlistment office? It is absolutely essential to distinguish and prioritize issues in an effective manner. This is akin to how a medical professional approaches a situation when a patient arrives with an axe embedded in their head and is experiencing severe hemorrhaging. They do not immediately conduct tests for antibodies or potential allergic reactions to antibiotics, do you understand? Let's conduct a thorough and comprehensive analysis. You might potentially have elevated blood sugar levels, and perhaps the sugar is indeed elevated, but there is an axe embedded in his head. It is absolutely imperative to halt the bleeding, undertake a complex surgical procedure, and effectively obstruct the flow from the artery. Subsequently, we ought to later verify whether he will exhibit any reactions or not, and observe what transpires with his blood sugar levels. Furthermore, he might potentially have a gastric ulcer, which also necessitates treatment because if it remains untreated, it could lead to bleeding, and so forth. However, there are significant questions and less significant ones. Therefore, despite the disdain from opinion leaders, those individuals often referred to as potatoes, I engage in discussions and bring forth crucial questions, the most vital ones, upon which the viability of the state is contingent, as Ukraine is currently confronting an existential crisis. The existential crisis fundamentally lies in whether Ukraine will continue to exist as a sovereign state entity in the near future or not. This situation depends not only on the external threats of invasion, potential occupation, and subjugation by the Russian forces, but also on whether Ukraine is genuinely needed and valued as a state by its own citizens. Because even if the invasion might eventually come to an end, there is the possibility that Trump might wake up on the wrong side of the bed and question, well, what's happening over there? Has it been 50 days already? Let me impose economic sanctions on the Russian government so they might be pushed to sign a peace deal. Honestly, what is this situation? I find it displeasing. Let's apply diplomatic pressure or give them military weapons. Basically, something will start to be controlled manually. Bam! And they might eventually sign some sort of peace agreement, for instance. Consequently, the war could potentially come to an end. So, are there any prerequisites for this to happen? Well, indeed, there are some. Just like those that are really complex and definite in some way. No, probably not definite ones, but there are some prerequisites. However, the reality that Ukraine might eventually become unnecessary to numerous Ukrainians, without whom the nation cannot endure, constitutes an existential crisis. It is a crisis of existence itself. I bring up these significant issues, yet you choose to criticize me. Absolutely in vain. I am simply another cell within this vast organism. If we employ such analogies, it would be wise to refrain from attacking the neurons, as you might eventually discover them to be quite beneficial. Is my response understandable?